And we were one yellow lap away from winning the Indy 500. One.
We had a great race, you know. I mean, within the last 10 laps, we were top 3, and then managed to get into second at the last restart. You know, just holding off Will Power, eventually won the race. And we had a high risk, high reward strategy. If the yellow flag had stayed out longer at the end there, we absolutely would have been fine.
We had a real shot, which, frankly, I'd go for every day. I was proud of the way the team performed, very proud of Jack. Honestly, it was a blast for the 2018 500.
I love racing for Michael. You know, how we even got connected was an unusual set of events. Some Spanish dude called Fernando Alonso, it's like a 2-time world champion or something, whatever, came to the race in Indy 500 with Andretti Autosport, and basically shuffled me to the side. Obviously Michael had a separate deal going with a different driver who got completely shuffled out, which, you know, obviously felt very bad for him, but basically it brought me and Michael together. And I liked him from the very first conversation I had with him. You know, it was crystal clear that, you know, probably got a bit of a rough end of the stick with how it all played out, but he was there to basically help me as much as he could, that I would be his #1 guy, and deliver the best 500 for us as well. And what I realised about Michael was he had tried to do the 500 before, it hadn't worked, it hadn't exactly played out, where now really it was as much a dream for him as it was for me to be a driver.
I really think it was just fate to begin with, so there's no rhyme or reason to it, but the circumstance at Andretti's in 17 put us together. Once we got together and we saw each other's drive, ambition, the way we treat people, the way we do things that we say we're going to do, started it, and it was our basis that we worked on. And I think by the end of the 2017 Indy 500, although the result wasn't great, we kind of knew that maybe we had something here that could work out for the future.
The weekend after 2017 Indy, sat in downtown Detroit with Michael, me, him and my manager Bob, and literally just tried to thaw out a path on how we could work together in IndyCar more than just 500. And Michael was a little coy to start with, but his facial expressions couldn't hide his excitement for it. You know, and again with Alternation and Sirius, they put me in the car for 2 more races that year. But even when I did the 2 races, it was still very much geared towards a bigger program in 2018. And then I got very lucky that it's also going to be 2019 as well. I mean, honestly, without those 2 companies, I never would have got the opportunity in the first place, and certainly it would never have expanded more. So, you know, to Mark Cannon, who's our contact point at Alternation, and Jim Meyer at Sirius, I mean, I really owe those guys a lot. But I think what's nice about the team of people we have now, as it's expanded, Jim's actually ended up being a co-team owner with Michael, which is how we transitioned from Michael Shank Racing to Maya Shank Racing, you know, and maintaining a great relationship with Alternation. This is a program that we hope will just continue to grow and continue to expand. But certainly I hope that, you know, I can stay a part of Team Maya Shank Racing for, you know, the foreseeable future, and be awesome to see those guys in a full-time drive, because the team that Michael's put together for this, you wouldn't know it wasn't a full-time drive. You know, those guys are there week in, week out, working on the car, working with me, trying to help in every way they can, and they get to the weekend and do exactly the job they're meant to. You know, they don't look like rookies out there at all, they look like seasoned veterans already, so I feel like we're in a really great position just to keep building for the future. But, you know, there's a few common denominators of why I think we all like being here, and I think one of those is Michael. You know, his commitment to the program, just the way he is, there's no BS with him.
He deserves the opportunity. My goal for him personally is, you know, let's finish in the top 10 this year. Let's make that the goal, and then next year, let's move that up 2 or 3 spots. Being realistic about where we're at, since we're not a full-time team, we put a lot of pressure on Jack, probably more than most. But we want quick results, and we don't give him the opportunity to get better. We just expect it. So he deals with that pretty well, I'd say.
So working with Jack's been great. He's coming to this series with a great attitude of always trying to improve, being receptive to input from myself, driver coaches, things like that. Working with James and Robbie, he's very determined, wants to prove himself, so it's been really great to work with him.
All the races that Jack's joined us, I think it's been a huge benefit to the team, and you know, a good chunk of his engineering staff is part of our engineering staff, and so the integration's been pretty seamless, and I think it's been a big benefit all around.
it was just something that came natural to him. You know, you can't fight it when it's the natural thing to do.
Well, racing was really in the blood. So my dad's always done numerous different types of motorsport, should we say, from dirt bike racing to some sprint car racing. He actually had a Formula 3 car at one point, and my uncle still races, and he's raced like my whole life as well. So, you know, I come from a family of petrol heads who, even though they haven't always had the opportunity to race like I have, I mean, you know, they've still always given it 100%, and that work ethic is, I think, what's really seen it from a young age is what's helped me to keep progressing to where I'm at now, because, you know, really without my dad, especially my dad, but also my uncle's influence, I'd probably still be playing soccer or football, as I would call it. I started when I was 9 years old, worked my way through the like British go-karting scene basically. I was the youngest ever British junior go-karting champion. I then started racing in Europe, 2007, 2008, won the European Championship, won in the Asian Pacific Championship. And then I got together with a group called the Racing Steps Foundation, and what they basically did was help finance young British drivers' careers. Because again, without having somebody else's support financially, I would never have made it past go-karting. So I got hooked up with them. I did 2 years in Formula BMW, 2 years in Formula 3, a year in GP3, and then at the end of 2013, I actually came to America for the race that was in Houston at the time. That was my first time to America. You know, I met Sam Schmidt, and honestly, the conversation quickly developed. PRI show in 2013, we signed a contract, and that was really what brought me to America. I spent 2 years racing Indy Lights with him. Finished second both years, which was a sting both times, honestly. The first year was to Gary Chavez on a tiebreaker in the end. We had the same amount of wins. He had more second place finishes than I did. I think I had more fastest laps and poles, so it was a sting regardless. And then actually year two, I ended up finishing second again. But the thing that was hard about that was, at that moment, I had transitioned from the Racing Steps Foundation program. You know, I'd graduated, I got to the level that they could take me to. So suddenly in 2016, you've sat there with nothing, having, you know, a stellar career up to that point, 2 second place finishes, and it's like, okay, what do we do now? And it's like, well, we've got nothing. So it was kind of an interesting kind of year, really, that was, from, you know, finishing a race at Laguna, you know, to the next time I got in a car again, which was Indy 500 2017. You know, it's like 1 3/4 years basically by the time we had raced competitively from that gap. And honestly, that hunger and that determination to keep staying here and trying to live the dream didn't really wane. Like, I mean, there was days where I was like, what am I doing, you know, with my life? I need to start doing something. And then, you know, committed to coming back to America even when I had nothing, to pursue the American dream, as we could call it. Kind of knew what I wanted us to achieve, just kept working till we got there.